Hi, this is Kendi Alvarez. I have the honor of serving as the mayor for the borough of Lewisburg. And we've got a real issue in Pennsylvania in that we don't have local news. So here I am talking to you about what's going on in local politics here in central Pennsylvania. I am here today with Rachel Wallace. Thanks for being here, Rachel.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be on the local news program here.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know it, but we're a big deal here.
Yes, you are. I know it.
You grew up in Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Yes, I did.
And now you are running for the 9th District of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have to do a big shout out to Pottsville because I'm a very proud Pottsville girl, born and raised, graduated from Pottsville High School. And my first job, I worked for my congressman, Tim Holden. He represented Schuylkill County and a number of other counties in Congress. And working for him was sort of my gateway into public service. And I went on and had a career. I worked at the State Department. I worked in the Senate. I worked as the chief of staff for the budget office in the White House. And so I saw how the government works and I saw how it doesn't. So
you're looking to have an impact and to knowing all of that, try and figure out ways for us to have the government work better.
Yes.
So what prepared you, besides your professional experience and working in Washington? You are a hometown girl. You left, you got some experience. You're back in Schuylkill County. What in your personal life has prepared you for running for office? Because, everybody thinks that it's the resume.
Yeah.
But it's the passion. It's the purpose. Why you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question that we should ask all of our candidates. I would say there's a couple things. First of all, I'm the daughter of a retired nurse and a pastor, and my family has shaped so much of who I am and my values. My Uncle Mooker, shout out Uncle Mooker, hope you're listening. My Uncle Mooker has a saying where he would say, "You don't have your priorities straight," and it is one of the worst things you can say in my family. Like, it is a true insult where if someone says that about you, it's like you've been checked, and I always feel like my family raised me to have my priorities straight. Schuylkill County, our part of Pennsylvania here, people don't ask for a lot. They want to work hard. They want to take care of their family. They want to look out for their neighbors. Like, that's who we are. And I don't feel like that's how Washington works right now. I also think people are really tired of the division. I come from a family where we have Democrats, we have Republicans, and we all get together at Thanksgiving and have a really good time together. That feels really unique right now in a really horrible way. And I think people are tired of the division and also the dysfunction. As we are sitting here right now, state budget can't get passed. Yep. The federal government's in a historic number of days of being shut down. I mean, people want shit to work. Let's get stuff working again for us, and let's be a little bit less crazy to each other about it. I think that's possible.
That I would agree. I think we spend a lot of time focusing on what divides us rather than what brings us together. And you're right. People want to have good work where they're adequately compensated for the work that they're doing. And, they want to be able to thrive within their own communities. And that's something that we can't say has happened in much of your district that you're running for, like much of, central Pennsylvania, or even if you want to, go broader, Appalachia.
Yeah.
And so there's that common thread that runs through.
And can I just, you're a mayor.
Yeah.
You hear all the time, and I bet a lot of it is the same no matter what political party people are from, what people are looking for from their communities, and what the problems are, and what people want to see. Let's fix this together. And I bet that there's not that big of a difference based on political party.
There isn't. It's blown up externally to be more than it really is, when you get down to what matters to people in your communities. So let's talk a little bit about what matters in communities. I know that you are a big proponent of rural health care, and you believe in, providing a necessary workforce to have our community thrive. So let's talk about how you see the impact that you can have in that position as being a House representative in bringing that back to our region.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a huge problem for our communities right now, and we're seeing this. So I just want to be clear, I'm running against Dan Muser, and one of the reasons why I got in this race is because earlier this year, he voted for a bill that is going to cut healthcare from 18,000 people in our district.
Wow.
So, and I don't know, I was shocked when that happened. I'm like, I can't imagine a member of Congress saying, like, voting for that kind of damage for our community, because that's not just people who are going to lose their health care. That's, you know, the hospitals that are no longer going to have that income. What does that mean for outpatient services? What does that mean for the nurses and the doctors and the janitors and the small businesses that, like, this is a whole economy here.
Yep.
You know, I was in Danville earlier today. Geisinger is a huge part of what makes that town work. And if we're taking away that revenue stream, we're jeopardizing huge parts of what makes our communities, you know, what they are today.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge part of why I wanted to get in this race, because I want to hold Dan accountable for that vote. And I also think people are very hungry to talk about how do we make our healthcare less complicated and how do we make it less expensive.
Yeah, we joke that around here our economy is baselined from feds, meds, and eds. And so, you know, the federal government, we've got tons of, you know, prisons in our region. The meds obviously are medical institutions. So in this region, you know, it's obviously we've got Geisinger, UPMC, Wellspan Evangelical. And then we've got our education institutions. So, you know, multiple colleges and university from Bloomsburg, Bucknell, Susquehanna, Lycoming, Lock Haven, you know, we've got all of these things. But the reality is we've got an aging population and, you know, we've got a workforce problem. We don't have young people that stay. And so as our aging population needs more health care and it becomes more complicated, more expensive, are we just going to see more of these rural hospitals closing?
Yes.
And then what does that look like? What does that do for the overall health of our communities?
Yes.
And that's troubling.
Yes, it is. I was in Wyoming County a couple weeks ago, and they had one hospital that served the county that closed 3 years ago, and now they're down to 2 health clinics. And so, if your mom lives in Wyoming County and she has a stroke or a heart attack, you're looking at a 45-minute ambulance ride down to Wilkes-Barre to get health care. I mean, I don't want that for my mom. I don't want that for your mom. I don't want that for anybody's mom.
Yeah.
So we've already seen where we're headed. And I think I'm here to wave the flag and say we are going to go further in that direction unless we can pull back and start fighting back in Washington and saying, you cannot do this to people here.
Yeah. Well, see, we said we weren't going to go negative. And so now we are like this, that's just, you know, the potential of that future is sad and it's depressing.
Yes.
So let's turn this around and talk about hope. You know, what are the positives that you're looking to do? What do you think that you can do to really catalyze change in Washington beyond your youthful exuberance and the fact that like you're gonna shift the median age?
Yes, I am. And the median income a little bit too. Yeah. Sadly, not a millionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes back to Tim Holden and the model that I learned from him. Tim was a Democrat who he voted with the Democratic Party 3 out of every 4 times. Mm-hmm. So he did not vote with them every time. And I think that people in Washington knew if you wanted Tim's vote, you had to go and make the case to him about how it was going to be good for his district. And I think that is a really powerful way to govern, to have your bottom line be your community's bottom line every time. And, you know, if you want my vote, you're going to have to explain to me why this is good for our part of Pennsylvania. You know, I just spent some time this morning with one of the local chambers of commerce, and there's so much good work happening. There's so much energy, I think, to how do we bring economic development here? How do we support local businesses? How do we support local job creators? Yeah. And it's some really, really exciting stuff. They need funding. And so how do we make sure that we're bringing our federal taxpayer? We don't lack for vision or ideas here.
Oh, yeah.
This is about how do we bring home the federal taxpayer dollars, which we pay for. We pay our taxes. Let's bring those dollars back here to our small towns so that we can get, make this place somewhere where there's more jobs and people want to live here. Because having been born and raised here, moved away and come back, it is a fantastic place to live. I'm so proud to live here.
Yeah, I have a hard time when people are like, why would you go back? There's nothing to do there. Like I have a group of friends and we say, if you're bored in central Pennsylvania, you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
There are so many things to do. Pennsylvania is really looking at pushing out the outdoor recreation economy.
Yes.
And, really looking at the assets that are our natural resources, and not in a historical extractive way in the same ways that coal has, extracted natural resources or fracking. It's looking at, this place and the value in its natural beauty, the value in the people that steward that, and that's something that we have to pay attention to. And I think that, there's tons of opportunity in that. But there's also, this level of care and concern that we have to have, because we've got a significant population of people that like things the way they are.
Yes, they do.
And, when we talk about bringing growth or bringing economic development, it comes at a cost that is very often outsiders coming in.
Yeah.
And we have to be mindful of that. Because this is a place that, I joke that I'm not from here. Not that I didn't grow up here, but I can't trace my lineage back 5 generations. So I'm not from here to the people who consider themselves from here.
Yes. Well, I'll say, as someone who is from here, 10 generations in Pennsylvania in our family, I feel like having new people come in is a really wonderful thing, because they bring in new energy, new ideas. And growing up, we have such strong immigrant communities here. Pierogies, America did not invent the pierogi, just to be clear.
There's some old lady in a church in Mount Carmel currently making this year's pierogies who will wrestle you over that statement.
Well, I think we should cut this short and go hang out with her. We're in the wrong place. I just feel like so much of our heritage here is immigrant communities. And you drive around small towns and you see it with the churches, right? And, you have the Russian Orthodox and, the Roman Catholics and...
Oh, but there's the Italian Catholics and then there's the Irish Catholic Church.
Oh, yes. No, St. Pat's and St. John's are not the same thing.
They're not the same.
No, they are not. Don't I know it? And then, my family, we're Pennsylvania Dutch. So just very different, heritages and faiths that all came together and I think make this place beautiful. And that is going to continue to be our story. And I think for the most part, people here appreciate that.
Good. All right. So you are challenging an incumbent.
Yes, I am.
Dan Muser. And in his district, it is Republican leaning. And so what do you see as your path to victory?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not going to win without some Republican votes. And I am here to tell Republicans, I want to have the conversation with you. And first of all, I want to hold Dan accountable, because I want to make sure that Republicans, Democrats, and Independents understand how he's been representing us in Congress, because he has done a lot for himself, but he has not done a lot for us. And so I want to make sure people know who you're voting for, know what they've done and haven't done in Washington for us. And let's have a conversation about that. And then the other thing, to your point about the common ground that we have, my campaign is about healthcare. My campaign is about the cost of living. I know very few people, wherever they sit on the political spectrum, who are not worried about those things. So for me, this is very much a case of let's talk about the problems in our communities that we're all facing. And I believe that we can have someone in Washington who's fighting to fix those for us.
Okay. So final question. What's the one thing that you wish that more voters would ask themselves about Congress?
Ooh, that's a good one. Why is Congress broken?
Ooh.
And I think we need to ask ourselves that, because I think we need, as a community, to look in the mirror and say, how I want to be able to have a conversation with someone that doesn't shut down with just, are you Democrat or Republican? Democrat, bye. And that's an experience that I've had. But I had the most amazing experience on Election Day this year, 2025. I was a poll greeter for a local candidate. I show up at the Hosey, which is our polling place, and I show up and there's 2 other poll greeters, and they are the young sons for the other candidate.
Okay.
So the guy I was supporting, his opponent, and I'm like, am I in for the most awkward afternoon of my life? Like, what did I just sign up for?
Potentially, yeah.
Yes. And I get out of the car and I go up to them and I introduce myself, and we had the nicest conversation. So it's like an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old guy, and they were so nice. We talked about, what their futures were, what they wanted to be when they grew up. Like, it was just so pleasant. And I left feeling so hopeful. It's like, we are just neighbors. We are all on the same team at the end of the day. And we can have experiences where it's not like, oh, you're for the other side. Like, I'm not going to talk to you, or I might be rude to you or dismiss you. No, like we can just have a conversation, and I'm feeling pretty hopeful after that's something I'm going to carry with me throughout the campaign.
That's good. Well, thanks for coming in. Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.